I want to talk to you about prepositions. Prepositions are one of the trickiest elements that we'll run into. They will look like the simplest, but they're sometimes the hardest to learn if you don't have a grasp of them intuitively. See, that's the thing. You need to come to prepositions to learn them by watching them over and over again and just starting to recognizing them that way. There's not really an easy formula. Now, there are lists of prepositions that you can look at, as long as you remember that many times, depending on the context of the word that the word finds itself in, it may not be a preposition. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. So when you look at lists, they are helpful in this sense. I would look at a common list for preposition, a list of common prepositions, just so I could start learning about them. But I would never try to memorize the list thinking, okay, these words will always be prepositions. I can think of only a few words that will always be prepositions. So here are some steps and then some practice that we'll do together. I would, now if you need to see this bigger, as you should with all these videos, is expand it to the full screen. Maybe then you can see them a little better, but I'll read everyone. Steps to find. Look at a list of prepositions online. Google 100 most common prepositions. I'm sure you'll find a good list. Just remember, those words on the list will not always be prepositions. That depends on the context. Make sure what you think is a preposition has a noun or an object connecting to it right after it. Now this is probably the most important thing right here. If it's going to be a genuine preposition in that word group that you're looking at, it's going to have what's called an object of the preposition. So a preposition plus its object of preposition equals a prepositional phrase. All right? And they come together. So if there is no object of the preposition, you don't have a preposition. It's probably an adverb. So right off to the side here, I'm going to put prepositional phrase, okay, equals a preposition plus object. And they come together, a prepositional phrase. Alright, now the next step here is many prepositions give info about where or the position of something, and how or the means, and when, time. Not all, but many do this. So this is also something helpful to remember. Alright, so let's take a look at what I have here as model sentences. I'm going to circle the prepositions, okay? The man in the street with the hat is going to the gym. I have my preposition. I have my object of the preposition. I have my preposition. I have the object. I have the preposition. I have the object. Every one of these is a prepositional phrase. Okay? Now, I'm going to write something off to the side here, and then I'll cover it up as I step back in. But if we said, we went in, this looks like a preposition here, right? But it doesn't have an object. At this point, this is an adverb to the verb went. This is not a preposition. This is a preposition here because it has its object. They come together. And the whole thing is called a prepositional phrase. Okay, after the snack, here we go. Preposition, prepositional object, object of the preposition. I went into my room, preposition, object of the preposition, for my book. Preposition, object of preposition. The apple fell under the table on the patio. Preposition, object of the preposition. Preposition, object of the preposition. This is not a preposition. I know it describes where, position, but it doesn't have an object. They come in, the preposition always comes with this object. That's part of its definition. I should have stressed that a bit more up there. Okay, arrows will fly through the air. Preposition, object of preposition. Now this also tells us how, but it doesn't have an object. This in fact is an adverb, okay? Now, there are some prepositions that are going to look like verbs and they're sort of weird, but you should know these words. The words during and concerning are always, during especially, this is going to always be a preposition. Sometimes concerning will be a verb, but here, during the show, I cried into my napkin. Preposition, object of preposition, preposition, object of preposition. He ignored my questions concerning the issue of money. Preposition, object of preposition, preposition, object of preposition. So be sure you know this about concerning. When concerning means about, like he ignored my questions about the issue. When it means about, it is not a verb. It's a preposition. And during is always going to be a preposition. All right, I would recommend a lot of practice. I would recommend finding information online that maybe if you Google practicing with prepositions, you can find sentences that have these things outlined for you. But just remember that lists really do help here, but be sure to understand that those words can change in different contexts. And then also remember this, that every genuine preposition will come with its object.